a rich man's world. I have turned the song of this
You're listening to the Breakdown Podcast, presented by Cleveland Highlights.
a rich man's world. I have turned the song of this beautiful land.
Welcome to today's episode of the Breakdown Podcast. I'm your host, Wade Rainey, joined as always by my co-hosts, Tyler Bush and Pal Patel. We're back. We hope you had a wonderful holiday, some nice time off from work or school or whatever you were doing this weekend. Hope you enjoyed some football, some good food, and some time with your family and friends. But we are back to recap all the action from an exciting week in the NFL, as well as everything else from in the world of sports over the past few days. There's been a lot. But let's start with the main course, if you will, the NFL. Another action-packed Sunday, another week where, we learn a lot about these teams. We obviously had the games on Thursday. Just to recap, that was Bills over Lions, 28-25. Giants fell to the Cowboys, 28-20. And the Vikings took down the Patriots. First, before we move on to Sunday, just want to say, first Thanksgiving in a while where all three games were very, very good.
Yeah, no, usually you see Detroit getting blown out or losing in a heartbreaker. And it actually happened this year. They kind of a heartbreak, last-second field goal. But all these games were one-scored. My question was, who do you think proved the most on Thursday, Thanksgiving? Out of these three games, these six teams.
I want to say either the Vikings or the Cowboys for sure. We expected the Bills to beat the Lions, and the Lions were competitive, and that was fun to watch. And I think that Lions team has been enjoyable because they have exciting young players and they play a fun style of play. Dan Campbell's a guy I want to cheer for, but I think my pick out of the two I mentioned earlier, the Vikings were the team that most impressed. We've been talking about how bad Kirk Cousins is on prime time, and the Patriots defense is solid. It's a very good unit, and they were kind of able to slice them up and take control of that game.
Yeah, no, great point. I think if there's one team that proved something to me, is that the Giants are not that good. Daniel Jones is not a sufficient quarterback to lead this team to the playoffs, and you can see it when it comes down to those game crunch time moments. They didn't use Saquon Barkley at all, in the second half, which kind of pissed me off because he's their best offensive weapon.
It's not even close.
You need a scheme for him because Darius Slayton's sitting on the left hash mark with 280 receiving yards as your best receiver. I will give him some props. He had a crazy catch, but what about you?
Yeah, first I want to give Ezekiel Elliott his flowers because we talk a lot about how Tony Pollard has really snatched that job from him. Zeke had a great game on Thursday. But I was actually really impressed with the New England Patriots. Mac Jones finally looks healthy. He's come back from that high ankle sprain. And I learned on Thursday that he'd also been dealing with a back injury as well. And as a quarterback, that can really, really mess you up. And he looked great. And you know what? The Patriots kind of got robbed. Hunter Henry caught that football. He really did. And I listen. I live in New England when I'm not at school here. I hate the Patriots. I hate them so much. They're they're just below the Packers for me. Mm-hmm. But they really impressed me on Thursday. But I will say though, good bounce back win over the Vikings. Or good bounce back win for the Vikings, I should say, after getting absolutely smoked by the Cowboys, beating a good Patriots team.
What do you guys think for the Patriots? Where do you guys rate their odds to make the playoffs right now? The Bengals are coming off a win today.
I know.
So I like the Patriots a lot more than other teams going forward, like the Jets or maybe the Bengals, honestly, because the Bengals are so injury riddled. I know they pulled out a win against Tennessee today, but it wasn't a pretty win, and it didn't really prove a whole lot to me. I think New England has proved that they have a great running game, and if Mac Jones plays like this every game, they're gonna make the playoffs. They could win a playoff game. He's surprised the hell out of me. 382 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he came out of the game slinging it. I thought they were just gonna be run heavy. Mm-hmm. They were throwing the ball. I think the only thing they're missing is a good receiver.
Yeah. Right now, after the Sunday games, Cincinnati, New England, and the Patriots are in that order in the AFC. Cincinnati's in that 6th spot. Jets 7, and then New England's just outside. And all three of them are playing very good teams. Cincinnati's going to be playing Kansas City. The Jets are playing Minnesota, and New England's playing Buffalo. So we're going to figure out
next week. Bro.
Yeah. So we're going to really figure out how these teams can stack up against real.
And then Miami plays San
talent.
Fran, Tennessee, Philly. Holy crap!
I personally think that you have to turn this rather than a 3-team race for the last 2 spots. I really think it's a 3-team race for the last spot. I think the Bengals will make the playoffs.
That's what I think. That's what I think. I think it's between the Jets and the Patriots to sort out who gets that last spot.
But you have to remember the Chargers are also 6-5, and so I think it's them, Jets, and Pats for that last spot. And I trust the Pats more than those other 2 teams for sure to snag that last wild card spot. But let's hop right into Sunday, starting with a team that. Speaking of snagging wildcard spots, they're putting themselves in an excellent position to do so. The Commanders continue to left hand up their way into victory.
They keep winning.
They keep winning.
Since that Eagles game, they've turned the page and they've looked really, really good. They have a set identity with Robinson and Antonio Gibson. Excellent wide receivers, and we're finally seeing some decent quarterback play in Washington.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with Gibson and Robinson. I know you talked about Brian Robinson a couple episodes ago. He's a beast. Yeah. 105 yards.
But the difference is that Brian Robinson has been having the same usage throughout the year. But there's been there's been a significant uptake in the amount of touches that Gibson is receiving, especially coming out of the backfield and being like a safety blanket for Tyler Heineke.
Yeah,
Taylor Heineke is really. Him and Antonio Gibson have both together kind of turned around this offense. Terry's just as good as he was. He's had a great year. Robinson's been impressive.
They're
on a little win streak now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just keep on gutting out wins. And, we've heard it on this podcast before. I'm a big proponent that winning games is a skill that is undervalued.
Tested coming up though.
Yeah, I was about to say they play the Giants, and they play the Giants next Sunday, and Washington is currently favored to win. That's how the books have them right now. They're favored by a point.
They play the Giants 2 weeks, or they get a bye week in between, and they play the Giants again. Mm-hmm. I think they split those games. San Fran, they're gonna lose. Cleveland, I think they.
Deshaun's back too.
Yeah, that'll be a tough game. Cleveland just beat Tampa too, so. Your thingy.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. Just
gonna old ones.
Mm-hmm. No, it's just a 20% thing.
Yeah, it keeps recording, so we're good.
Finish up with Dallas. So
yeah, the Commanders. I think they've put themselves back in the driver's seat for that last wild card spot. Especially looking at the teams that are below them. The Seahawks just lost to the Raiders. Their status is up in the air. And then after that, you've got Falcons, Lions. Probably not going to do anything. But let's talk about the other team in this matchup. Speaking of the Falcons, the NFC South, easily the most hilarious division in football. Every single team keeps on losing, and every single week, all 4 teams are still in the race for the division. Every single week, every single week, all
deserve that.
Every single week, all 4 teams are still in the hunt. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. The Panthers and Saints at 4-8. Both still have a chance to win this division, a very legitimate chance to win this division. We'll talk about all of them later, but the Falcons, once again, just another lifeless performance on offense. Mariota, when guys like Mariota, he's trying his best, and he's obviously a very good football player in the grand scheme of things, but guys like Marcus Mariota, when they continue to start, it makes you realize, how little you actually know about, NFL locker rooms, because there's all these people calling for Desmond Ridder to start, and the coach in Arthur Smith isn't starting him. I think that he probably knows something that you don't. So, they weren't planning to start Ridder, but I do think that's interesting that they've stuck with Mariota.
No, I think this Falcons team is manageable with Mariota at quarterback. They've played close games against good teams, but I don't know. The ceiling is only so high for the Falcons with Mariota, because he's a good decision maker, but he's never if he's gonna make an explosive play out of the pocket, it's gonna be him running the ball. He's not a bad quarterback when it comes to throwing on the run, but you'll rarely see him dime a 40-yard bomb to his receivers. Like, this team is very limited. Their run game is good, but like, I don't know. They haven't used and managed their receiving tools as well as they could have, and I think that's limiting them a lot. So I don't like them down the stretch. Like, I did like them at the beginning of the season, but they haven't shown me that they can throw the ball like well enough.
Yeah, the NFC South absolutely wide open. We'll get to the rest of that division later, but let's hit another game that looked like it was going to be sort of ho-hum, but then exploded in the fourth. 33 total points in the fourth quarter between the Ravens and Jaguars, a game that ended on a 67-yard field goal attempt, and it's a true testament to Justin. Hit it. It's a true testament to Justin Tucker that I sat there and I almost expected him to make it from almost 70 yards away. Yeah. But a great win for the Jaguars. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. I feel safe.
Hey, bro, you never know in the AFC South, though. I mean,
that's true, but I don't.
It all depends on the Titans if they slide a little bit, but
I mean, the Titans would have to really, really collapse.
The loss today, it definitely helps them.
Yeah, it's true, but
I think the Jags' offense is like very underrated. I think their defense is a major problem because they always end up getting blown out or in shootouts like this are, but like they're able to hang with good teams. Like they have, like I think their offensive weapons are hella underrated. Like I know ETN just got hurt. That's a major loss for them. Mm-hmm. But like you're seeing like guys that have like not stepped up on other teams. They're coming to Jacksonville. Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk. Evan Ingram's having a decent season at tight end. I just think like I don't know, like you can't count this team out yet. Give them a couple games, and
I think as a team they've played exceptionally well.
Yeah.
And I think the coaching has been there, and people have really like the guys that you guys were talking about earlier. They've all developed as well. Like they've all been entrusted in new roles. Or they're just learning, how to be an NFL player. And I think that everyone has kind of done their job, and you can tell that it's a group that's committed. I've seen the Trevor Lawrence trying to hype him up before games and stuff, and it's awful.
He's the worst hype man of all time.
Yeah,
like
if you haven't seen a clip of Trevor Lawrence trying to get his guys going before a big play or a big drive or even before a game, he sounds like. He sounds like this, and he's like, "Let's go, guys."
I was gonna say, I think Trevor Lawrence is just he's too chill to be he's too much of a chill dude.
But the chemistry is so good that even if Trevor Lawrence is not able to deliver the message the right way, the team understands and that they're able to respond as a unit, which is nice to see. And I think that the way that they won this game is a testament of who they are as a team. Like they were kind of down early, but then they just kept fighting, and they're guys that they trust came up big, and the 2-point conversion. We could talk about that decision, and what you think, and if you would have done the same and whatnot. But it looked like the right call because it worked, and they won the football game. So, congrats to Jacksonville. I mean, this is a great win to kind of build off of.
Over the past 5 games for Trevor Lawrence, almost 100 quarterback rating, and then 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions.
Yeah, he's turned it on, and. This Jaguars team, it goes as he goes. And if he's playing well, they usually play well. Any concern over the Ravens? Another sort of questionable game to drop. I wouldn't call this a bad loss.
I don't know. I think the Ravens have played way too many close games at this point in the season that they're concerning me going down the line. They have the roster to be able to make a playoff run, but. Like, you can't be, like, this is a huge, major problem. You can't let the Jaguars come back on you and then win on the final play like that. Or not the final play, technically.
This isn't the first time we've seen this.
Yeah, like, I would hate to be a Ravens fan in 2022. All these blown leads. Like, I don't know if it's because they can't, like, their second half, like, throwing the ball down the stretch isn't, like, as good as, like, we make it out to be. And their run game is a little overrated. But they get the leads. They can't keep them.
We've talked about this before. It's the fact that you have to be able to win in multiple ways, and I don't think the Ravens can with the passing game. I think that they rely way too much on the running backs and Lamar Jackson being able to run the football himself, and I think that it catches up to them sometimes. You know what I mean? Like after 3 quarters of seeing that, a defense will kind of just be able to flood the box and stop this Ravens team. And I think that they need to get more creative. And I think we've known for a while that they need better wide receivers. You know, Mark Andrews can't do it all, but I think that this need has just been, you know, exemplified even more and enlarged this year. And I mean, they did the same thing against the Giants. That was a pretty bad blown lead as well, and they seem to make games close when they shouldn't be.
I think this team is structured very similar to the Giants, except Lamar's actually a good quarterback. Josh Oliver was their leading receiver today. Do you know who he is? Yeah, touchdown.
You know, I actually don't know who he is.
That's what I'm saying. He scored today, and I don't know. Like, they had to bring in Deshaun Jackson. They had to bring in Demarcus Robinson. Like, these aren't even good receivers. Like, and you're calling them your 1, 2, and 3 receiver.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be better at the receiving position. Like, you just need a good all around team in the NFL, because you're gonna get exposed when it comes down to the playoffs.
So groundbreaking take right there.
What's the?
They never thought of that one.
Yeah, dude, seriously.
Roster construction is gonna change.
I'll raise you guys a question then. What's the difference? Why do you guys like Tennessee but don't like Baltimore? That's my question to you both.
Their defense is better.
Okay, that is fair take. But Baltimore's defense has more playmakers. They create more turnovers.
Listen.
That's a great question, because I just have a bias for Tennessee, but I have a new point for Tennessee. Treylon Burks, like, he over the past 3 games, Tannehill's hit his over on passing yards, and it's because he has more of a threat with Burks.
Baltimore is second in the turnover difference. They're +8.
No, I think their defense is better than the Titans.
You guys were praising the Titans.
Teams literally cannot run the ball against Tennessee. Tennessee is facing like the highest proportion of throws this year.
They let everyone throw it on them, though.
Because teams only throw the ball.
I think Tennessee is twice as good as the Ravens at running the ball.
Yeah, but listen to this way. Just because they're super good at stopping the run, they still are the 31st ranked pass defense in the league.
In what metric?
Pass defense by yards and by completion percentage and by touchdowns allowed.
Because teams, those are all volume stats except for completion percentage. But yards, they're 13th in expected points per dropback.
Yeah, that is true though. They're actually, whenever you look at the advanced stat, that defense, they also turn up the pressure a lot. They get a lot of pressure. That front line carries.
Yeah,
the Baltimore Ravens are a better team than the Titans.
I agree with that. Just because offense makes you tick.
And I think that's kind of where we are in the AFC right now, where you have the top-heavy Kansas City, Miami. You know, you look at the Bills up there as well. And then I feel like there's this kind of second tier right below them where it's Tennessee, Baltimore, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You know, the Chargers, if they are to, you know, keep winning and they somehow make the playoffs. I feel like all those
the absolute
everybody
ceiling.
under Miami right there you see, besides Buffalo, are all in the same tier. Like, I think they're like,
so
all those teams are
even the Bills.
No, I said besides Buffalo.
Oh, besides, sorry. Okay, that's fair.
Tennessee, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Jets,
that's what
New
I said,
England,
right?
LA.
That's what I said. These 3 are a class above, and then there's 4 more teams. I think it's Tennessee, Baltimore.
No, I think those teams and the teams below, like the Chargers and the Patriots.
There's a difference between the Jets and the Bengals.
You tell me the Chargers and the Patriots can't overtake the Bengals and the Jets in that position.
They can overtake the Jets, but not the Bengals. I think the Bengals, the Titans, and the Ravens have something that the Jets, the Chargers, and the Patriots don't, and I think it's a considerable difference that we have to have a different. You can't just say that there's 2.
All right, but you can argue that they have that offense and that passing ability, but as a team overall, the Bengals kind of suck on defense, and their run game is kind of average, as good as Joe Mixon is. So.
Yeah, but they're able to still win games in multiple different ways because they can grind it out like they did today, or they can put up 50 on your head and win that way. And they're still winning without Jamar Chase. I think the Bengals winning right now without Jamar Chase is more impressive than the Cowboys winning without Dak Prescott earlier this year.
Yeah, let's talk about that game. I will say the Jamar Chase thing, while it is obviously a huge loss to not have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins is a very, very legitimate wide receiver too in this league, and he's a very capable stand-in for Jamar Chase. Obviously, their passing game goes from good to great, even spectacular with Jamar Chase because he's just that good. But I mean, guys like T. Higgins, Hayden Hurst, Taj Boyd, or Tyler Boyd, excuse me, they're not chopped liver. You know, there's some good little players in that group still. I mean, but we saw today, Bengals take down the Titans 20-16. Similar problems persist for Tennessee. They just can't score points. Their defense played well once again. But this is the thing, and this is what we know Tennessee to be. They're not going to win a shootout. But I think this game absolutely says more about the Bengals than it does the Tennessee Titans. This is just every Tennessee game that's been played so far this year.
Defense really stepped up for the Bengals this game. Derrick Henry, 17 attempts, only 38 yards. So that's pretty impressive. Joe Burrow had a good game. T. Higgins, 7 receptions, 114 yards. He's averaging 75 yards a game this season. Of course, Chase is out. But, like, he could do that on any other team. Like, he's just a big vertical threat who's just, like, also a good route runner as well. And he's just a physical specimen. I saw him coming out of Clemson. I was, like, kind of... I did see him. No, but coming out of Clemson, second-round pick, like... I always knew he was going to be a good player, and then when they took Chase the next year, I'm like, holy crap, this offense is just so scary. Yeah, and he got Mixon. Don't forget about him. So,
T. Higgins has posted 100-plus catches in his last 2 games, so he's definitely stepped up.
Yards.
Yeah, 100.
That'd be crazy if he had plus catches.
Oh shoot, yeah, no, I meant to say yards. He's had 100-yard games in back-to-back weeks as well, and so I feel like the discussion around him has been the fact that whenever Jamar Chase is playing, he doesn't receive enough targets to, like be as productive as he can be, and I think it's nice for him to kind of show off right now because it'll be nice when Jamar Chase is back, he has this rapport now with
defenses need to give him more attention.
Yeah, and now Joe Burrow will be able to trust him more, and they'll have. So
we could see some great game-breaking plays and stats from Jamar Chase going on the stretch when he's healthy.
I was gonna say, I mean, once he comes back, he was questionable this week. Ended up not getting the nod, but so he should be back in the next couple of weeks.
Yep. They have the toughest remaining schedule out of any team, in my opinion. I'm not sure what the actual stats are for it, but they have a slew of tough matchups, and it starts with the Chiefs next week. Then they play the Browns, and then right after that they play the Bengals, or they play the Bucks, the Pats, and the Bills. Yeah. And they end the season playing the Ravens. So they're just going to be playing a bunch of playoff teams and the Browns.
And the Browns are
good.
Not bad, and they'll have Deshaun Watson back at that point as well.
Deshaun Watson back. Nick Chubb is going on a tear. That defense is pretty greedy.
For the way the season is set up, this year, I feel like we got all the bad teams playing all the bad teams at the beginning and getting those wins, and now you have some crazy matchups at the end of the season.
We have some
some bad teams with good records, so it just makes for more exciting football.
Yeah, let's talk about one of those maybe bad teams with a good record. The win today, I don't think, is the story for the Jets. They are playing a Bears team with no Justin Fields. It's clear to see where the Bears are at without him right now. Bears team without Justin Fields, without a lot of starters on defense. I was happy that I just didn't even need to watch this game as a Bears fan. Just put it in the loss column, get that draft pick up in that order. But Mike White was slinging that thing all over the place today. 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. Is Zach Wilson's job in trouble?
Yes, it is. They benched Wilson. I think this was a management situation where they wanted to fire him up, and it kind of worked in the Jets' favor, but not for Zach Wilson. Mike White had a better performance in this game than Zach Wilson has had in his entire career. Literally.
It's true.
It's true, and he had a similar game against. Remember when Mike White went off last year?
Yeah.
Game last year Mike White game, bro. He has one of these every year.
He's the next Taylor Heineke. He's gonna have the Jets stuck in limbo for the
3 tutties, 300+ yards, and almost a perfect quarterback rating, and he's making his rookie receivers and young players look extremely well. Garrett Wilson, I honestly could be my next favorite wide receiver. 5 catches, 95 yards.
The Jets.
Go ahead.
He's the Jets' best wide receiver. And it's nice because he's so talented. And I feel like Zach Wilson did hold him back a ton. Like, I know that
he was
you
still
just
kind
said-
of producing with Zach
Yeah.
Wilson. I just think that's how good Garrett Wilson is.
What do you think it is that White does that Wilson can't?
I think White makes quicker decisions, and I think with his ability to not be able to run the ball, Zach Wilson is looking to run the ball a little more than he should be. So Mike White is a little more.
Do you think that's an experience thing though? An inexperienced NFL
Oh.
quarterback just getting too.
No,
antsy
I
in the
think
pocket
Zach
and-
Wilson's definitely had way more reps than Mike White. Like if you look at it, Mike White is, I don't know. He struggled after that one game he went off last year. So I don't know if it's like a one-time thing he does every year and then goes back to being a backup quarterback. But
And also, we should. Is that what Mike White looks like?
oh my god,
That's exactly how I pictured he
You
would
just
look like.
got Mike White.
Mike Whited. We should note the Bears' defense is terrible. They're not very good. They haven't been good the last few weeks. But regardless, something for the Jets to think about just with how bad Zach Wilson has been. I mean, Mike White, he diced the Bears up, 22 for 28. Those are crazy numbers. Yeah, and receivers finally having a good day. You obviously have the problems with Zach Wilson in the locker room. Could come down to the fact that Mike White is maybe just less of a headache for
I want to
everyone
see
else
Mike
on the
White
offense.
play again next week. I don't want to see him put up these numbers.
I think you have to start him again next week after this performance.
Yeah, no, this was by far the best Jets offensive performance of the year. Like, very efficient, got everyone involved. Finally got to see Elijah Moore involved in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where he's been, but
Having to catch passes from Zach Wilson. Let's see him for that.
MIA, bro. Why? Because Zach Wilson is my quarterback.
good point.
Yeah, but very good victory for the Jets. I still don't think they'll make the playoffs. I think the Patriots snagged that last spot from them.
Hold on, I want to before we leave this game. The Jets had 7 different rush attack people rush the ball. Zonovan Knight, you heard of that guy's name? He had 14 rush attempts.
I have not.
Ty Johnson, Michael Carter, Braxton Berrios, Mike
Wait.
White, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore.
Where did Zonovan White go to school? Click on it. I'm curious. His name, for those listening, his name is just
NC
Donovan
State,
with a Z.
undrafted.
Damn, he's only like 6 months old, 4 months older than I am. 2001. He's young as hell.
Oh, he's-
Yeah, shout out to Zonovan Knight, man, doing it for Gen Z.
Yes.
How about that?
Even 69 yards.
For Zonovan, he's my new favorite player. We already talked a little bit about the NFC South, so I want to talk about the team that kept all four members of the division in contention this week, and that is the Panthers.
Yes.
And
Sam
Sam
Darnold.
Darnold. Sam Darnold is back.
Bro,
And
did you
he-
see his touchdown where he rolled into the end zone?
that was hilarious.
Nobody even touched him. I didn't even know
that.
that was funny.
That's it's a shame because it won't be ever as viral as the butt fumble because of the stage the butt fumble was on. But
Such a Sam Darnold.
that was such a hilarious play. But yeah, so the Panthers win. They have a real player in Deonta Foreman.
Oh my God,
he
yes.
is
He is a baller,
he is a beast.
So Dante Foreman came into the league, he tore his ACL his rookie year, or not his ACL, his Achilles, and he was a prime example of why people thought Cam Akers wouldn't be back for a while, but he was also able to overcome that obstacle. It's so hard coming back from an Achilles injury. This dude got hurt so long ago, and he's balling out this year. He is I don't know if it's the Panthers run blocking is that good. Or Dante Foreman is just balling out right now.
Dante Foreman is a very powerful runner.
He's a big dude.
Past 6 games, he has. It's kind of interesting how his past 6 games went. 113 yards, 24. 130, 23. 118. So maybe he'll go for 25 next game, but I don't know. He runs the ball very well.
Yeah, and we won't spend too long on this one, but Denver, yeesh. That's all I gotta say
That
on
shit
that.
was ass, bro.
Yeah, when you're-
oh my goodness.
When the defense is getting mad at your quarterback for not putting up any points and just being terrible in general, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
How are they this bad?
I don't know. It pisses me off, honestly, how bad they are. Them and the Raiders, I thought were making the playoffs no problem, and they're just proving me wrong.
I'll take.
I'll take.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, terrible. From a matchup of two not very good teams to a matchup with one great team and one terrible team, the Dolphins cruise against the Texans. Absolutely no contest here. Texans score a few points, make some better sweat at the end, but besides that,
Texans are on track to get the number 1 pick to keep playing the way they do. Their defense is horrendous every single game. I like Davis Mills, but
didn't play this week.
Didn't really play it that great this week.
No, he didn't play.
No, he didn't play. Kyle Allen.
Oh yeah, Kyle Allen.
They benched him.
Yeah, Davis Mills has been ass. They ended up.
I mean, but it's like hard to judge anybody. The whole Texans team is ass. Damian Pierce, 5 carries for 8 yards.
I don't know how.
When he's not working, nothing's working.
They were passing it a lot as well.
At least Brandon Cooks got his touches.
Yeah, I mean, but
not much to say. The Dolphins came out and did what they needed to do.
Yep, took care of business. Yeah, and in a year where a lot of teams
lost Jeff Wilson, though, that's a big loss. He's been playing really well.
It's okay because I think that Myles Gaskin will be able to fill his role. And the fact that pass,
they got depth.
Yeah, and that pass game is so dynamic. They kind of were using him out of the backfield. He was more effective there rather than setting the ground game going because they're not looking to run the ball on you to begin with. You know what I mean? So. No. I don't think it'll be too much of a difference, although that does take kind of an edge away from them. You know what I mean? Like, that was just another wrinkle in their offense, and it definitely takes them down from, like, the different play calling that they have, like, with the receiver.
Because Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are guaranteed 80-plus yards every single game. 5 catches, 80
They both had 85 yards today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we said,
electric
they took care of
players.
business. They did what we expected them to do.
Yeah, something to be said about taking care of business in a year where a lot of teams are failing at doing just that.
Miami is that one team that gets those wins against the bad teams like with no problem. Like,
yeah,
that's a sign of a well-coached and a focused team. And
Mike McDaniel looks sick on the sideline.
Mike McDaniel, yeah, dude, he is a.
Bro, he had this expensive ass watch and like gold sunglasses on.
He's
funny. He's up there.
He's a baller, bro.
And the funniest thing
and he's
is
like such a nerd.
He's
bro.
a nerd. That's the funniest thing. The funniest thing is that whenever you like listen to him talk, he sounds like
great win today, guys.
He sounds like he's about to wrap up this press conference and go play Dungeons and Dragons with his friends, dude. Like he gives off that kind of vibe when you hear him talk. But he's so, I mean, he has a brain made for football, bro.
Yeah. And we'll get to see next week. He plays his former team, the Niners.
Yeah.
Could be Coach of the Year. That will be a great game.
Coach of the Year shouts for sure, by the way, just because of his age as well and the way that they're doing it. But although he does have a lot of weapons at his disposal.
Yeah.
He has 2 different Offensive Player of the Year candidates.
I know, seriously.
On his team, that's wild. With the way Tyreek Hill and Tua have played this year, and I think Tua deserves more credit than what we give him. He is so surgical. He's he makes his reads quick. He doesn't make very many mistakes. He's decisive with the ball, and he shares the ball. It's not like he's locks in on Jalen Waddle or he locks in on Tyreek Hill. It's the fact that he is able to decide and realize the best play. He realizes what the best play is, and he's able to execute. And I think that that's a very underrated thing because there are a lot of quarterbacks that get in trouble for holding on to the ball too long or just being too like tunnel vision. They're just not looking at the big picture.
He's a very smart quarterback, and I saw a video of him. Someone like flipped the camera, so he was a righty, and they're playing the Lions, and Tua is a righty. Like, I think like lefty quarterbacks in general just like look less exciting.
They get it's the reverse of basketball.
It just looks sick.
Do you know what it is? Do you know why a left-hand quarterback looks worse?
We're not used to it.
No, it's because of the camera angle, bro. They're always sitting on the right side, so you see his back. So you don't really see the whole motion, but whenever it's a right-hand quarterback, you see them, like, load up, and that's just a cooler thing to see. Because you can kind of, like, you can see where his shoulder is and stuff, and you can kind of tell what he's anticipating. But with the left-hand quarterback, you're watching their back for most of it. I had to watch Michael Vick growing up, so I thought about this for a while.
That's true. I mean,
because, whenever Michael Vick, he had a freaking arm. Like, he could throw the ball, like, 80 yards, but I remember, like, you could never tell when it was coming on, or at least on TV, because he's left-handed. I'm looking at his jersey the whole time.
Yeah, and Tua uses all those things, to make up for his noodle arm. So there you go. Moving on to Buccaneers Browns, a Browns team that will be getting Deshaun Watson back in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, seriously, especially if you're a masseuse in the Cleveland area, watch out. That's getting cut. But
No. Nick Chubb is still a beast.
Hey,
by
bro,
the way.
it's literally public information.
It
There's
is public.
That's true.
26 civil lawsuits.
I don't
Like,
think anything we said about the Deshaun Watson nonsense has affected anybody really.
okay,
I
well,
don't think we've said anything negative.
regardless-
We just, made fun of
regardless,
it.
let's-
we're done.
Regardless,
Regardless, we're
regardless,
done
regardless.
talking about that. Yeah, Nick Chubb, ridiculous game. Unfortunately, too little, too late for the Browns. Even though in terms of making the playoffs.
Oh.
Yeah,
like,
they did
won.
win. It was a very good win. And I also thank them for keeping all 4 teams in contention for the NFC South still, because I think that the Buccaneers would have started to run away with this if they had won this week. But remains interesting. The Browns, Jacoby Brissett, really impressive today. Bad weather in Cleveland. I mean, he's just solid. He's just solid, and I don't think that you can pin the Browns' losing record on him really at all.
He's the best backup quarterback in the league when Deshaun Watson comes back. He does such a great job.
You don't think
managing
it's
the team.
you don't think it's Garoppolo?
Garoppolo's, I mean,
I love Garoppolo.
no, he's not. He's a starting quarterback. I don't
No,
know.
you'd say okay.
I just want to say about the Browns, man. They, although they don't have much to play for this year, I think that they are like.
I feel bad for Browns fans because you actually have a good team this year. And
Here's the thing, though.
many
We're
tight
not
losses.
too far removed from the Browns of the old days, where they won like 2 games a year.
I was
You know
gonna
what
say
I mean?
it really has
Like,
not been that long.
They're probably gonna win. They're probably gonna be a game or 2 below 500 with the rest of their schedule. They should pick up some wins down the stretch, and I think that they definitely have a lot of different reasons to be excited for next year.
Amari Cooper could be a top 5 receiver when Deshaun Watson's back, just because he's going off with Brissett right now. Like I'm excited for.
I was gonna say, bro, he's one of the guys. I mean, Nick Chubb's production hasn't slowed down a bit. The Browns are a creative team as well. Like they're able to really, use what they have at their disposal and make the most of it.
Yeah, let's touch on the Buccaneers. They still lead the NFC South, but it feels like a step back for a team that had taken a few steps forward in the last few weeks.
I thought this Tampa Bay offense was like on a roll. They're getting their playmakers involved a little more than they have been.
Godwin had a great game.
Yeah, no, Godwin is Tom Brady's safety net. He had 12 catches today. Rashad White 9 catches. So I think the Bucs lost, what's his name, Tristan Wirfs today.
That's a big
major
one.
loss. I mean,
That's what hurt him.
Jensen and Wirfs now gone. Like
That's
your
what hurt him in the
2
second
best
half.
offensive linemen.
And we've talked about how much this offensive line has struggled without one of them. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want again, this NFC South is so bad this year that who knows who will win the division and get a playoff spot. But I will say all the momentum that the Buccaneers had built in the past few weeks, in my opinion, is now gone. And I think that they're back at square one, where the questions are still the same thing, where it's like, why can we not score? Why can't we move the ball as much? Certainly, they've been better since White has become their leading rusher. He's had more of an impact. But, again, I just think it's the same problems with Tampa Bay. Who do you guys think wins that division?
I think it's still the Buccaneers.
Still Tampa. And I mean,
I was hoping one of you guys would switch.
I think the even bigger question is why is Tom Brady in a crappy division this year?
I don't know.
Like why? Like
It's just the Tom
I
Brady
just
effect.
hate Tom Brady. He just has to make the playoffs with such a bad team. Because the NFC South.
And
is
you
just
know,
that bad.
the Buccaneers are gonna take a game off someone who's got high hopes too. You just know what's gonna happen.
The crazy thing is that the last week of the
play the
year,
Washington.
the Falcons play the Bucks, and it could well be
Oh God!
Tom Brady versus Marcus Mariota playoff start early.
Just as we all expected. Yeah, the NFC South might be a four horse race, but there were a couple games today that put the nail in the coffin for the NFC West to be a 2-horse one. Let's talk about the Chargers Cardinals. The Chargers effectively keep their playoff hopes alive with this win today. The second of 2 gutsy 2-point conversion calls. Justin Herbert does everything, leads the team in rushing, over 300 total yards.
He just had that one really long rush.
But regardless, no one else ran for more than 38 yards. He's got the team on his back.
That's crazy.
They had the rest of their team at 27 rushing yards.
Justin Herbert is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I feel very safe saying that. The fact that the Chargers aren't a 3 or 4 win team is solely down to the fact that Justin Herbert is a freak.
You had 4 guys over 5 catches. He spreads the ball extremely well, better than a lot of quarterbacks that I think, and he can gun it fucking 70 yards in the air. So this Chargers team is known for playing close games, but they win these close games. And I think the fact that when you're taking the Chiefs to overtime or losing on the last possession of them, like they did last week, it's a good sign because they're so injured right now. Keenan Allen, he played today, but it was his second game back. They're missing Mike Williams, and their defense extremely injured. So
the Chargers are second in the NFL in pass play percentage. They're 1 percentage behind the Tampa Bay Bucks. So they throw the ball more than just about everyone else. And Herbert has gotten the chance to really just take control of his team, and he has. But I feel bad for him because he just hasn't had his weapons with him all year. You know what I mean? They've just been decimated by injuries. And I'm so happy for them to keep winning because this team is one that deserves a spot in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Come December, towards the end, they're one of the 7 best teams in the AFC, and I hope that they're able to find a way into the playoffs. But we'll see. We'll see. Their goal as far as Justin Herbert can take them.
Yeah, agree. The Cardinals, not much to say on them. Actually, did not play terrible today, but they're done.
Not good enough.
Absolutely done. Is Kingsbury gone? Before we move on,
I think he should have been gone last year.
There's too much BS going around Arizona's front office that I think that they're just gonna not panic, but they're gonna make the right decision firing Cliff. So,
yeah. Moving on to the other game that really put the nail in the coffin in the NFC West, the Chiefs. Pretty ho-hum victory over the Rams. One team clearly superior here.
The Rams might be one of the worst. Might be the worst team in the NFL right now.
I mean, it's tough with Bryce Perkins starting at quarterback, to be fair.
And I don't even think the score would have been much different if Matt Stafford was playing because everybody else injured on this Rams team. Their defense sucks.
I agree with Tyler right there. I think that the fact that Matt Stafford wasn't playing did not make much of a difference in the outcome of this game.
Because he doesn't have Cooper Kupp to throw to.
Yeah, literally. Another one of those situations where the quarterback was the leading rusher for the team today. And then Van Jefferson led the team in reception yards. He had 29.
Yeah, just not good. Patrick Mahomes, very impressive once again. Continues a good run, although you have to say it's not exactly the 85 Bears he was playing against.
The line was set at 15.5, and the Chiefs won by 16.
Yeah, and the Rams had the ball with 40 seconds left. It could have been a terrible beat there, but the Chiefs take care of business, improved to 9-2, really staking their claim as the best team in the AFC. Moving on over to what was probably the best game of the day, Raiders-Seahawks. The Raiders, Derek Carr collapsed the field, emotional after the game, huge win for them. Story here, obviously Josh Jacobs. I mean, he's going to get paid. Whether it's a good decision, we'll see. History shows us that it is absolutely 100% not a good idea to pay him. But, I mean, 33 carries, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, has the team on his back. And, you know, the Raiders pull off a big win. And the Seahawks now, I think you really have to worry about the 49ers if you're Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers are definitely a concern, but I don't really take this game as a total loss for the Seahawks. They played well offensively. They do need to strap up on defense. Geno Smith's been balling out. This was a close game, overtime game. We recorded our reaction earlier. Check that out. It'll be a separate video. But I still like the Seattle team going forward. I just think they need to involve Tyler Lockett a little more, and Kenneth Walker didn't have the game that he usually does. He only had 26 yards. Did have 2 touchdowns, but if they get the ground game going, they can beat any team.
How have we talked about this game for about 2 minutes now and not talked about Josh Jacobs?
I did.
We said at the beginning.
Yeah.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that like we got to talk about how well he's played this entire year. I feel like he's kind of gone under the radar. He's been a heavy usage back this year.
He had 6 catches too for 74 yards.
Yeah,
that's part of the game that he's been improving, and I think that Derek Carr and this team have kind of they've turned to stone the past 2 weeks now, and it was after he cried in the press conference that they've really started showing some passion. They're digging deep right now. Do you think they're playing for each other, playing for their coach? Where do you think this is coming from?
Last year the Raiders made a little run, and it seems like every year they do at the end, like, because they start off bad, like they're, I don't know. I loved this Raiders team coming into the season, but now they're just, I don't know, they're sliding, but I think they're playing for each other. Like, you saw Derek Carr, Devontae Adams in that press conference. They just want to win. They don't really care. They want to win.
Yeah, good win for them. And let's move on over to the last game of the day. Another real boring one. The Niners take down the Saints 13-0. Impressive win in terms of defense. You know, there are still definitely offensive question marks in San Francisco, most of them surrounding Jimmy Garoppolo. Wasn't terrible today. And the Niners actually weren't able to run the ball as well as they usually do. So credit to the Saints for credit to the Saints for only one this time.
This game actually surprised me because the Saints defense has been one of the worst in the NFL all season long. I thought coming off a hot game against the Cardinals where they put up 38, they'd be able to do a little more on offense. So that's what does concern me because this team has so many superstars, and I don't want to just keep saying it's Jimmy Garoppolo is the reason why they're not, like, surprising me.
It's not Jimmy Garoppolo.
Couldn't run the ball today. Can't blame that on Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think Kyle Shanahan needs to go back to what kind of worked for him last year. We're not seeing as much of the jet sweeps. We're not seeing as much of the screen plays. We're not seeing as much of the drags, the little slant routes. We're seeing that last year. That's what they kind of used. They use their guys' ability to kind of, you know, the yak bros. We've talked about this. Like that's what the Niners do, and I feel like whenever Kyle Shanahan has had Jimmy G as his quarterback this year, he kind of slows the offense down way too much, and I think that affects how well they play. And I mean, we saw it on Monday Night Football when the Niners are playing with pace, they can score. They have Christian McCaffrey, who's elite, you know, out the backfield and as a rusher. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, the three of them for a receiving core that's top 10 in the league. Like they have everything in place, and I think that now
top 5 probably.
Yeah, definitely top 10, arguably top 5. And I think that now it's more of the play call and the coaching that's holding them back more than Jimmy G is.
I have a good question. So you see Mike McDaniel, who was a coach for the Niners, go down to Miami, and they're kind of running a similar offense. Get Waddle, get Hill the ball. It's kind of what they do with these receivers here in San Francisco. So without putting the blame on or focusing emphasis on the quarterback position, what is the difference between the Dolphins and the Niners? Because they do play each other next week.
Tua.
Besides the quarterback position, I said.
I just feel like you can't. Like
the
I
Dolphins.
Understand your question, but
I don't think
it's such a big difference. It's such a big.
The Dolphins, I still think. I mean, we've talked about it on here before, and I still think that we undervalue having both Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
That was going to be my second point.
Probably like what two of the 5 fastest dudes in the entire NFL.
5 best receivers in the NFL this year.
But the Niners have Kittle, Samuel, and McCaffrey.
Oh no, the Niners definitely have, but like I think that's definitely part of the difference offensively. Like, I mean,
no one else.
Like listen, those guys can get open. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill get open. Like they have more plays when they're like no defenders within like 5 yards of them than any other 2 players in the entire NFL, and they both play for the same team.
I was
which is
kind of
insane.
like trying to like slowly lead up to this because we were talking about this during the reaction video. We have to remember the fact that Kyle Shanahan might be a football genius or whatever, but he lost his offensive coordinator, and now all of a sudden his offense can't, get the yard after catch plays, and they can't get the ball down the field as quick as they used to last year. And meanwhile, while this is happening in San Francisco, we're seeing Mike McDaniels do what he's doing in Miami, and he's taken that San Francisco offense that they had with Debo that, Debo was breaking out last year. He had, the rushing and the receiving stat lines that he would put up, I feel like the longer we get, distance from that, we're going to look back on it and realize how spectacular that was. But we're seeing Mike McDaniels have that immediate success in Miami, which makes me think that maybe he had a bigger impact in this offense, in the San Francisco offense, than what we know as people outside of the practice facilities and the coach's office.
Debo is only averaging 50 yards a game. He only has 2 touchdowns this year. So
I think that I remember watching the Niners play last year. They don't use motion as much. They're not as quick as they used to be. They used to just snap the ball, and then within a second the ball would be out. You know what I mean? There was quick reads. And we're just not seeing that. They're not playing the same way as they were last year.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a very immediate, reason why this is how they've been performing offensively.
Yeah, I mean, it's odd to say, but it does feel like a punt year for the Niners. I mean, in the first year where Shanahan trusted Trey Lance to start, you lose him, you get to watch him play for one game, which basically wasn't even really the sport of football in Chicago in that torrential downpour. And then he gets hurt, season-ending injury the very next week. So the fact that the 49ers are still, they're my pick to win their division in a kind of a punt year for them, that still has to be a good sign. And obviously they do have one of the best rosters in the NFL.
Yeah. I think we just expect so much from the Niners, and that's why we give them so much criticism.
Yeah. Let's preview the Monday night game. Obviously the Packers and the Eagles are playing right now. It seems as of yet the Eagles are well on their way to winning that game. Up 13-0 at the moment.
Not gonna win.
No one's gonna see this until tomorrow, so it doesn't matter.
For me though, right now, I'm
watching.
watching.
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna do it because I don't believe in it, and the Eagles are gonna win.
Honestly, they're playing the Packers.
He said it again.
But Monday night, we don't have to spend very long on this at all. Steelers, Colts. Colts still technically have a chance in the South.
Game of the year. What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh,
Jeff Saturday is on prime time.
If there is a Manning cast, I'll watch that. Otherwise, I'm not watching this game.
The past 2 weeks.
I know, but I hope they have him for this one so Peyton Manning can talk about Jeff Saturday. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that game, pal. If you have anything especially pressing about this.
I think the Colts are going to go on a run after they kill the Steelers.
There is no Manning cast. Manning cast will return week 13 for the Saints and Bucks.
Yep, I'm not watching this game.
Okay. I think this will be a fun little, test for the Colts. They've played teams closer than what we expect the past few weeks. Jeff Saturday, appears to have been doing a great job so far, and the Steelers are just still trying to figure it out, both offensively and defensively. Obviously, they got Watt back, huge piece. He made his return, and he announced it with that interception last week. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually excited for this matchup because although it will be a low-scoring kind of defensive, a lot of punts, I'm excited to see which playmakers kind of show out. I'm assuming that either Najee or Jonathan Taylor will have, a crazy game. I'm hoping one of them does. If neither one of them do, then this game will be an absolute snooze. But yeah, there isn't honestly much, playoff implications or anything riding on this one.
No, yeah.
Yeah, Colts still technically in it, but
they are. So watch that. Matt Ryan was hurt. He's back now. Jonathan Taylor was hurt. He's back. This offensive line's playing better. Especially against a Steelers team where you have 3 great receivers and your tight end is leading you in receiving yards. This offensive scheme scares me. They're not good at all. Najee is very inefficient. So I like the Colts to win by a fair amount.
Yeah, the Colts could still easily make their way back into this playoff conversation with a few wins here. It's not too late. The fact that they have 6 losses and a tie gives them a leg up on Jacksonville and Cleveland, who have 7 losses. Same with the Raiders and the Steelers, who all have 7 losses. So the fact that they have that tie could be very helpful in determining their if they make the playoffs or not. And New England is playing Buffalo this Thursday, so New England could have their 6th loss. This week, and then it becomes a question of which of them loses first. And they're the ones that will probably not make it. And the Chargers also have 5 losses, so the Colts aren't out yet, but it's too soon to call it a revival of the Colts' playoff chances.
Yeah. As we move into college football, it was a big rivalry weekend, some crazy storylines from Saturday and Thursday and Friday. I'll start us off with some numbers, and those numbers are 7, 40, and 68.
I like them. I like these
and
numbers.
The first number, 7, that's the number of years Clemson had beaten South Carolina in a row. 40,
that's sad.
The amount of consecutive home victories Clemson had. And 68, the consecutive number of games Clemson had won when leading at halftime. All of those numbers are now effectively 0. South Carolina beats Clemson 31-30 in Clemson. Nothing makes me happier than Dabo Swinney tears. Even before I came to South Carolina, I hated Dabo Swinney. Me and the school are a match made in heaven. Go Cox. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I was over the moon on Saturday.
Right, this has to be the clip for.
Oh yeah, we'll get that on there.
Just make that the. But
yeah,
I'll put that on the
Spencer
screen.
spoke in that Clemson pack. I also hate Dabo Swinney. And
wait, no way, me too.
Really?
Yeah.
It was funny walking around Clemson.
Yeah, you were there. Tell us about.
Let's get the report from the ground.
So shout out, It's Your Wiener. That's the place that we're hanging out at. Tons of U.S.C. fans. Like I honestly thought there were more U.S.C. fans in that bar than Clemson fans. It was like a 2-story bar.
They were probably at the game.
Yeah, true.
Well, yeah, good point. But no, it was cool. As soon as we won, everybody ran out to like the middle of Clemson's like town square, and there's probably like
town square,
whatever. Dude,
I mean, it
it's
might as
scary
well be
down
a
there.
town.
It's like a cult. I don't know what to call it.
So Clemson,
they have a tiger print in every single building
they
down
do,
there.
Bro. It's actually,
actually?
that logo. Is
Everything
ugly
is
as hell,
orange.
too. Everything is orange.
Every gas station, grocery store, car wash place is a tiger print on it, bro.
Everything is like tiger something.
Yeah.
There's
Come
like
get
they
10%
have like
discount
at the beach.
I'd like to
tiger
see the
stuff.
word. I'd like to see the word cock worked into more branding around Columbia.
All right, here's
Yeah,
what I'll
me
say. Have you seen like those weird gift shops they have like at the beach and stuff?
Oh yeah.
They have like 4 or 5 of those in Clemson for like Clemson fan. Like they try so hard, man. But yeah, we beat them by 1. I mean,
DJ sucks. Like
Came
straight up.
back.
He is
We had to
not.
come back.
He is not good. And
I just can't believe we won. Like I understand that we're coming off a win against Tennessee. The mood was right around the program, but again, I
mean, to beat a top 10 team on the road, like that's impressive.
This
No
South
matter-
Carolina team finished exactly how I thought they were
Hey man,
start.
we were right on our month predictions. We knew Carolina would go 2-2 in the month of
Yeah,
November.
seriously.
We knew it, man. We called it.
Yeah, and I picked them to beat Tennessee and Clemson.
Hey.
But we lose to Mizzou and Florida.
Yeah, I mean, like we went 8-4. And if you told me before the year we were going to go 8-4, first of all, I would have been very happy.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, I would have absolutely never in a billion years picked the games we would have won to get to 8-4.
No, yeah.
Kentucky, the fact that we beat
Kentucky on the
A&M
road.
this year, we beat
Yeah.
A&M this year, but we lost to
4 very exciting.
we lost to Arkansas, we lost to Mizzou, we lost to Florida.
But
And Georgia.
Spencer Rattler, man. Here's what I'll say: stay another year, keep playing like this, and
we're
you'll be
a
a
top
top
10
and
team.
you'll be and we're a top 10 team, and you'll be a top 10 pick. So stick around Columbia. We'll take care of you.
Bro, I don't know what happened. Like he was a
Oh, I'll take care of Spencer Rattler. If that boy has a knee, bro, I got
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Shout out Spencer if he wants to come on the podcast. Get it.
Yeah, seriously.
No,
I'm
bro,
gonna tag you.
that would be insane, man. Dude, he is so easy to cheer for too. Like he's like a cool, like the way he carries himself as well. Like with the guys like in the locker room, on the field and stuff. He's the kind of guy that I want to see in like a Carolina jersey. You know what I mean?
He's humbled himself too ever
Yeah.
since coming from Oklahoma. Everybody thought he was that cocky guy, no pun intended. But
Coming out of high school, man, there was a lot of negative just word around him. A lot of clips on Twitter and stuff about like his attitude. People had a problem with his attitude and stuff. And then, after he got benched at Oklahoma, the questions were only like brought up even more. And this man has gotten doubted
We need to see more from him still. Obviously, just 2 games, but like if he continues to play like this, Carolina is going to be hella scary next year. Like
very scary.
Watch
next
out,
year.
we'll be better than this year.
And yeah, we return a lot of our weapons as well.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens in the bowl. Juice Wells,
bro.
Called it at the beginning of the year. I said he was JMU's leading receiver. We got him in the transfer. I knew he was going to be an instant impact. I'm so glad that he got the chance.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's been so clutch in these big games. Dude, I'm just so happy for these guys, man. Marshawn Lloyd came back. He played well. The defense was insane. What a send-off for Cam Smith and those seniors, man.
Yeah, Shane Beamer continues to stake his claim as one of the most exciting coaches in the country. I get the bad feeling, as we move into being alumni and stuff, that Shane Beamer might be gone within the next 5 or so years. Maybe if some.
He's said it so many times.
About.
I mean, you like there are jobs. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this right now.
I don't want to hear it, bro.
There are always jobs that people will take.
I don't want to hear
There are always jobs that people will take.
He literally said there isn't, though. He said that this is the place he wants to be. This is his dream. This is his home.
I think South Carolina
This is
is
his final
different. It's not
destination.
Missouri. It's not Florida.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Like-
We have literally the best practice facility in the country.
Yeah, we produce hella draft picks.
We've invested in our football program. This is just our reward. Shane Beamer is insane. Thank you so much for what you do, Mr. Beamer. He puts the city, like, he is like Mr. South Carolina right now. Like,
Yeah.
he is the #1 person in the whole state. Coach of the year, the most exciting coach in college football right now. The only reason I think he would leave is if he leaves to go coach in the NFL. That is the only thing. But I just feel like he's too much of a college kind of guy, and the fact that he gets to build his own
he's
program.
still very young as well. Got a lot of time to do
Very
all
young.
these different things.
Hey, bro, maybe when the kids move out and stuff, he's looking for a new challenge. He can leave then, man.
Yeah, true.
He can leave then. Give me 15 years of Shane Beamer,
I think
please.
just his dad, his ties to here are so strong, so that's why.
That's what I'm saying. He was an assistant here. Coming here, he said
That's what-
he
yeah.
said it a bunch too.
Too many connections in South Carolina.
He said it very often, and he's worn it on his shirt. The fact that he's so proud to represent this university, and the fact that he gets to call Columbia home, like, he is proud of that. He is more proud of that than probably we are. Dude.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Crazy win.
Who would have
Not
thought?
I.
Like, the fact
We've literally seen it all. Our freshman year was the worst.
That's what I was gonna say. I was thinking of Will
has
Muschamp.
been, and
I
now
was thinking
we're
of Will
at the
Muschamp.
highest of highs. Like
I was saying, Will
Yeah,
Muschamp,
since,
his last few years in South Carolina, they were so tough. It felt like he wasn't even trying to engage the fan base at all, especially during that last 2 years.
shout out Colin Hill, bro.
No God.
who actually got picked up by the Bengals somehow that year. That was brutal, bro.
I forgot about that. Fuck, dude.
Colin Hill.
That's like.
Remember when Luke Doty was our
It was our supposed savior. Jesus, he's not very good either. I like Luke Doty though. Yeah, I mean, but crazy win. Not anything I really expected. There was that pick 6 in the first half, and I thought we were gonna get smoked. That's just where I was
This
at.
team fights, bro. Like dude, I love Shane Beamer, bro. He has. I don't know if he's smart enough to always have the right answer or not. But after the game, he was talking about what. It was Jesse Palmer, I think. He quoted Jesse Palmer. He was like, Jesse Palmer and the employees on ESPN. They were talking about this game, and they said that Clemson needed to beat us by a lot to make their claim for the playoff. Well, you know what? We got a good football team in Clemson. And every time he does that, dude, Shane Beamer is the man.
He claps back.
He
bro.
hates the media. Shane Beamer.
I hate the media. Shane Beamer is a man of the people.
Bro, we are the media though. That's the thing.
Yeah, true.
Yes, now we are. I still hate the media. Wade and I went to this grocery store one time. This old ass guy kept talking to us about how the media sucks.
About what?
How the media sucks. He just kept telling us. So now it's like.
I mean, yeah.
sucks.
All right.
Everybody does it for clicks, so it's not natural.
But no, Shane Beamer is the man. I hope he stays for a long, long, long time, bro. He is everything that is awesome about college football.
Yeah, let's bang out the rest of these headlines real quick. U.S.A. takes down Notre Dame. They now control their own destiny.
Caleb Williams, Heisman.
Yeah,
I'm
think
sure
it's got to
we'll be
be.
able to talk. I'm sure we'll be able to talk more rankings in college football in the coming days.
Yeah, Tuesday. Very big, very, very telling college football playoff rankings will be coming out on Tuesday. Caleb Williams, I think that if USC wins the Pac-12, he has officially locked up the Heisman. Absolutely incredible performance.
He hit that Heisman pose. That draw play was insane.
He's a ridiculous player.
He honestly reminded me a shit ton of Patrick Mahomes.
The fact that he has 3 interceptions on the year. Or 3 or 4, something like that.
Quick shout out to Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. They battled, and I want to give them a shout out. A lot of people hate Notre Dame for good reason. I'm not the biggest fan, but things could have gone downhill very quickly in South Bend with how the season started.
They lost to Marshall.
Props to Coach Freeman for turning that boat around, and I wish him all the best there, especially since Brian Kelly is a dick. So
USC's offense is just like too much. Like they like third downs, like, bro.
That's just Lincoln Riley.
They did this in the Clemson game, but they had DJ punt. You saw that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They had Caleb do that.
It's kind of funny.
They would line up 4th and 16 on their opponent's 40, and I thought they'd be throwing out 4th and 16 and just punt.
I had just 5 minutes earlier. I had just explained to my girlfriend what a pooch punt was, and they pulled it off. I had the perfect visual representation. It was awesome.
I've only seen that like 3 times ever, and it happened in the same weekend.
Yeah. Michigan torches torches OSU's secondary. JJ McCarthy has a great game, and they, dare we say, lock up a college football playoff spot?
They lock up a college football playoff spot. I just want to say, Michigan, man, the way that this game was shaping up, going into the game, we expected Michigan to want to ground and pound, run the football, and we expected Ohio State to rely on big plays through the air. And the way that this game turned out, especially in the first half, Ohio State was the one running the football and relying on the ground game, while Michigan was the one, just absolutely sitting back, launching these throws, 70-yard touchdown, 30-yard catches. I mean, they were using the big plays to their advantage. And I talk about this with the NFL a lot, showing a multitude of ways to win. Michigan showed us another way that they win. And I think that this was something that was missing, and this is something that they can really build on, because Ohio State is an elite team. And there are not very many other college football playoff teams that are going to be able to go into this. Like, if they make the playoff, TCU and U.S.A. have not beaten an Ohio State caliber of a team. And I think just that experience in that game alone has given Michigan enough to really push them, like, throughout the playoff. Michigan, I think, is a lock to play in the Natty this year. I'll say that.
Wow. Bold prediction. All right. You heard it here first.
Good pick.
Them
in Georgia.
Yeah, a couple other quick hits. Oregon State snaps another long rivalry streak. They take down Oregon. Go Beavs. That was an excellent game for anyone who watched it.
Insane comeback. It's definitely not about the way you start, how you finish. 2 of their first 3 drives ended in a fumble and an interception. And then their last 4 drives were all touchdowns. They did it without throwing the ball.
Yeah, down 31-10 with 5 minutes left in the third or so. They come back and they win. Congrats out there in Corvallis.
Oregon lost that game more than Oregon State won it.
I hope they partied as hard as we did in Columbia, breaking a rivalry streak out west. And then LSU A&M. Just wanted to throw this game in here, just proof that you're never safe in the SEC. And LSU's playoff hopes, already slim playoff hopes, officially dead. But
great season for LSU.
Great season for LSU, especially given expectations. And they still could be SEC champions at the end of the year. You never know.
That'd be insane.
Crazy to think about.
I think that A&M team just came out with more to play for. You could tell that those guys have played through each other. They've been through more. They have been through more than anyone else this entire year.
Yeah.
Very disappointing.
It was nice to see. Yeah, they have so much talent on that team. I mean, it's hard to cheer for Jimbo sometimes, but you can't deny he's a good coach. And like, I'm a big LSU guy. I do hate A&M, but like, they needed it more than LSU did. Like, LSU, even if they made the playoff, they probably weren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna go down that whole rabbit hole, but even as an LSU fan, there was something sweet about that moment right there, because LSU's season had already peaked at that point.
Yeah. True. And we'll have a lot more to talk about, of course, on our Wednesday episode when those college football playoff rankings drop, and we start to see what the committee is sort of feeling if the season ended today. Moving on to college basketball, it was feast week this week. All those tournaments, out in Maui and the Bahamas, were finishing up. Some big stories that I compiled as our resident college basketball guy. Number 1, North Carolina loses twice. In one weekend, once to unranked Iowa State, and then today on Sunday in quadruple overtime to Alabama. A college basketball game that was proof that a close game isn't always a good game. So they are definitely not deserving of that number 1 spot. Could be last year's UCLA situation again. We'll see. Purdue, very impressive weekend. They are my winners of this whole weekend in college basketball. They blow out Gonzaga and Duke in back-to-back games behind 7-footer Zach Edey. He's been there for a few years, and he's finally the guy now this year for the Boilermakers. So they were very impressive this weekend. And then Tennessee in the battle for Atlantis, beats Kansas by 14. Another year, I think, where you look at college basketball, there is no one elite team. It's going to be a huge struggle. Expect another very chaotic tournament, similar to the one we had last year. But it's been a ton of fun so far. Team to watch, if you had one takeaway from college basketball up to this point so far, team to watch is Purdue. Be on the lookout for the Boilermakers. And then the World Cup, the U.S. Huge draw against England. Watched the whole game. I was very, very proud of the
A lot
US
of people talk about the fact that it was 0-0. First time watching soccer, it was bad. I just want to say, I understand that watching a sport for 90 minutes, one that doesn't have very many exciting moments, if it ends without any score, I can understand that you're frustrated. But you have to understand that they got a point out of this, and the World Cup is all about the bigger picture. You cannot look at it as 3 individual matchups. You have to look at it as a race to basically secure your spot in the next round. And now all they need to do is beat Iran.
Yeah.
If Iran doesn't hog the ball, play hell.
Exactly.
Which they will,
yeah.
and they will. They will.
England
A draw would exactly.
That's
a draw
how they
would
play.
ensure that they move on over us.
Yeah.
So they're gonna sit back, really just soak up the pressure, and we're gonna be finally forced to attack. Against Wales, we went up early, and then we kind of took our foot off the gas. Against England, we knew we were playing a team that was better than us technically. They were a little bit deeper than us, so we had to really use our cards well. We had to kind of soak the pressure there and then kind of use our chances. But against Iran, we're going to be finally forced to literally score and win. And I think that if you're going to give soccer a true chance, you have to watch this one. This game means everything.
Yep.
A loss or a draw means that we do not make it out of the group.
Yeah.
So we need to win, which means we need at least one goal. So I can promise
Western
you.
McKinney.
Yeah, dude.
He's scoring next game. He's scoring next game.
That's my favorite player as well. I'm so, dude, I can't believe Tyler's picking up on it.
Bro,
so
I watched both those games. So.
nice. You'll watch the next one too, right? Will you?
I'm
Tuesday.
I'm
It's
thinking
Tuesday at 2.
Yeah. I mean, the point against England, a huge point. I mean, I've been a fan. I've been watching World Cups since I was 9 years old, and it's the most proud I've ever been after a U.S. performance. The performance against Portugal in 2014 is up there as well.
Was insane.
But just so proud of these guys.
The round of 16 against Belgium as well.
Against a team that, after their first game, England, after they smoked Iran, people were talking about them as favorites, as potential favorites for the tournament. And the U.S. came out and really proved ourselves on the national stage. And we control our destiny, which is all you can ask for. That what happens with your fate in this tournament is decided by you. And if the U.S. wins, we move on. And if we don't win, we probably didn't deserve to move on anyway.
Exactly. This is an Iran team we should beat. I think that.
But it is not a bad Iran team, we should say, though.
Yeah. They play well. These guys have been playing together a lot longer than our team has. The squad is a lot older, more experienced.
They
won the Asia Cup. They're 20th in the world. We're 16th.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
they have
really
legitimate European talent as well, just like us.
Just like us. I think that I was gonna say against the England game, a really cool talking point that came out of that game that I was most proud of was the fact that finally American soccer players are getting respected on the global stage. People realize that we have kids that play for teams that are in the Prem and Serie A, that are in the Bundesliga. People realize that we are deeper. It's not just Christian Pulisic. I mean, we have a midfield trio that is like above average and can compete with just about anyone in the entire world.
Yep, young, athletic, exciting. It's a great time to be a U.S. soccer fan, and Tuesday is going to go a really long way towards how we feel for 2026.
God, if
we can't even talk about it. I don't want to talk about
it.
it. We're going too long anyway. If you made it this far,
one more note I just want to add. There is a podcast Twitter now. It's FF Breakdown Pod on Twitter. Give it a follow. I'm going to try and be more active on it, just post more live reactions and stuff to the games. And I'll definitely be posting on it to kind of keep you guys updated on our schedule, especially now that the holiday season is coming closer and the fact that there are so much things going around. If we do have special episodes or if things change, I just want everyone to kind of...
Or if we are missing recordings because of travel circumstances.
It's a good source to get updates on the podcast and breaking news and all that.
Yeah. We're all good. Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
If you made it this far, thank you for listening. We will see you all on Wednesday.
The midweek podcast is going to go crazy.